how do we define success?
I think success starts when that metaphysical death happens, because success is I'm still whole. I'm whole. That's success to me. Like, I am still here. I'm able to wake up the next day. It's that, it sounds cheesy, but it's like, success to me is the fact that I am still whole. I didn't say or do anything that was going to have me not be able to go to sleep at night. These celebs are coming in. I mean, and I would say if I did a percentage, I probably knew 60% that came in, because this was a very intimate event. So they're like, what are you doing here? You look amazing. I'm like, I'm wearing cheap clothes. You look good though. Like, you know, and so next thing you know, the leadership of this company was like, hey, people are talking about you inside. And I'm like, let's sit down and and I pitched myself to 3 of the leadership. And within 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I formulated a job title for myself, pitched them, told them an amount. The amount of money that I wanted was actually on that list as well. And within 3 weeks, my life, it just shifted.
Joshua, how are you?
I'm so good. It's so good to be here, Lexi. How are you?
It's good to be with you. So I started following you on LinkedIn years ago because I was like, oh, he gets it. And I really, really appreciate that about you. Not only just getting it, but telling the world that you get it.
I'm not big on the vanity numbers or whatever. I'm really big on like people coming in my DMs and being like, yo, what you said today really resonated with me. So when you reached out to me, you know, it was around this same week where it was like 2 other people that are like, hey, I don't want to interview. And I'm like, why does anybody want to interview me? Like, I'm not understanding, because I don't believe in this whole I'm a yapper thing. I'm somebody that like, I can post 8 or 9 times in a day because my brain is like, it needs to be said, you know? And so with these moments, especially when it's Black people, especially when it's Black women that are like, yo, I see you, let's have a conversation. I don't take it lightly. So I just want to say thank you to just being a part and sitting with you as well, you know?
So let's get started. Where are your people from?
Haiti. The whole crew, both sides.
Born in Haiti? Were you born in Haiti?
Nah. They came out here, the whole family. Mom's from 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐿 and dad's from some bougier part of Haiti. Thanks, Grams. But both of my parents, ironically enough, they both were in Canada at different points of their life, and then both came to the States in the 80s, 70s, 80s type of area, and then fell in love and had me accidentally at 18.
So your parents were born and raised in Haiti?
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
Yep.
And they met?
They met in high school. Yeah, became high school sweethearts. And you know what it is. You know how it is back in the day. The love is the boombox, it's the R&B, it's the, you know, they just fell in hard love. It was crazy puppy love. And then here comes Josh. And yeah.
So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in South Florida. My mom and I were in North Miami Beach for a period of time, but my mom, what I loved about her is she was a nomad. So every couple of years we keep moving more and more north. So it started off North Miami Beach, then Miramar, then we did Tamarack, and then North Lauderdale, and then I was school in Coral Springs. So it was a small migration. So my mom and I moved every maybe 3-5 years. And so I was just a rolling stone with her, because, you know, single Black mom, it comes with a warranty of like, hey, things are always moving and changing. And I was 20 going on 7. And so my mom and I, it was just me and her kind of just doing this thing called life together. So
Josh and Mama Josh versus the world.
It's a gift. You know, my mom, she passed away in 2020 from cancer, but one of the most remarkable people I could even meet, I could ever talk about. She was just young and crazy and vivacious. And one of the most funniest thing I always think about is she would always go to this place called Bayside, which is basically like this outside promenade-ish, like they have live bands. It was like, and so it'd be like a Saturday and I just want to lay down, draw Dexter's Laboratory. And then Eddie was a nerd, right? Like I was a straight up nerd. And my mom's like, let's go to Bayside. And she would get all these disposable cameras. And I fell in love with photography because of my mom. I would be the kid taking all these pictures of my mom. And so there would be days where I'm like crying. I'm like, I don't want to go out this weekend. And she's like, when you get older, you're going to realize I was a cool mom. And I'm just like, my mom's 23 years old yelling at me to like put some clothes on so we can go to this thing. And it was just amazing to have this like really vivacious woman who, anytime I go to Publix, all these guys would be like, that's your mom. And I'd be like, why are you asking? Like, and she's like, hey, can I talk to your mom? I'm like, no, you can't talk to my mom. So, being able to go with her and just, she wasn't a woman. It wasn't like she was going out there to drink. My mom really just wanted to dance and still be carefree and kind of live in her 20s and still be this person for me. So it was amazing. And like when you get older, you start thinking about like, damn, my mom really tried to still have her own life while still raising me and literally trying to merge these two worlds together and being like, put some clothes on, you going out with me? You know what I mean? So
going out in these streets, don't play me, okay? Bring the camera. Mama Joshua out here before the iPhone talking about get my good angle. I love this.
It was amazing. And we would go to Walgreens, develop the photos, and we'd go through them and she'd be like, okay, see, you did it right here. You did it wrong here. And so it's so interesting. Like, this is why I'm in social media. This is why I was in strategy, production, because my mom literally built me from the ground up, kind of being this person to like, how do I capture this crazy woman's essence on the camera? How do I? And so I just remember us having buckets and buckets of disposable cameras of just years of our lives that we would just develop every couple months and just sit around and just watch our life. So it was a gift. My mom was a gift. So, my goal now more than ever is just to always bring her up or talk about her through one way or another, just to continue our living on,
We are talking about how do we define success in a world that I think for the majority of folks, success has been defined in this very interesting trope of a house, but not too big, not too small, a white picket fence, 2 children, and then 1.5 pets. And earlier when we were discussing off camera, we were really talking about how maybe for some people, that is what success is defined as. But what does it look like when that is actually not your success, but your downfall? And so my first question to you is, when did you start defining, developing, curating your own personal definition of success? When did you realize that traditional societal expectation of success was not the one that fit your spirit?
I think that's a great opening, just because, again, we've been taught something that doesn't necessarily look nor feel like what it's supposed to feel like. And the ones who will get that statement will get it. The goal is go to college, don't go to jail, don't get in trouble, don't get nobody pregnant unless that's the goal. Stay aware, stay aware, stay aware. Always find your exits, right? And you should be fine. Like, you should be fine. You should be able to get the jobs. You should be able to get the internships. And so all of us go to the college, we go to the 4 years, we do this, we do this, we do this, then we graduate. And then it becomes this weird thing where it's like, okay, I moved to London, I come back to the States, I moved to New York. And what I'm understanding now is, okay, I got a job at a startup. I'm also working at the Grammys. I'm also working at Trader Joe's. I've always been, because I'm Haitian, I've always had multiple jobs in my life, right? I'm always serving, bartending. That's always a side hustle. And then my 9 to 5. I was so terrified of being broke. Like, let's just be honest, right? Like,
you were so terrified of being broke that you weren't resting. That's a separate conversation.
Right? We talking about success right now, right? But success to me was like, I don't want to shop at Burlington Coat Factory anymore. Like, I love my mom down, but I don't want to wear hand-me-downs. I don't want to wear cheap clothing anymore. And that's not a hit at her or our life. It's just, I wanted to not exist in this thing that made me feel like I was low budget, or that I didn't have the opportunity or the life to kind of like, really just do this thing my way. And so when that happened, it was okay. As long as I'm always working, then everything's cool. The goal is to collect as much money as possible. So I would work 7 days a week, right? I would have my 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, work 7 days a week at the second job, and just collect this money, save, blow it on the weekend, save, blow it on the weekend. There was never any long thought plan, because I'm just in my young 20s, right? I'm trying to get to a bigger apartment. And what I started realizing is, you would talk to other people that are your age, went to the same college as you. The rapport is not, oh, okay, good for you. It was like, well, I'm making 70K. Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm making 75. Okay, cool. Well, I'm making 85. And I'm like, okay, I just got back from London. What's going on? What's happening here? I'm confused by, we're not friends. Like, we're not complimenting one another. We are in a competition that I didn't even know. When did this competition start? Was it since college? Are we chasing success? Are we chasing notoriety? Are we chasing titles? And so I didn't necessarily know what was happening. And so that quickly started making me feel very like, I don't know if I'm on the same plane or the same wavelength as everybody else. I don't know, because all these Black people I went to school with, it doesn't feel like we're in this together. It feels like we all get drinks on the weekend. We all get drunk on the weekends because we hate our jobs. We all don't want to go back to our apartments with our multiple roommates because we're all in our young 20s trying to figure out this thing called life. But why does it all feel like we're all performing? This very performative idea of success. No one's being honest. All we're doing is comparing salaries and, well, I live in Brooklyn. Well, I live in Harlem. Well, I live in Astoria. I live in Bed-Stuy. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I wasn't trying to stunt. You asked me where I live, and so it just, success for me already from that point started like changing. I wanted to start getting more private and more clear about who I am prior to what this success looked like, right? And again, this isn't me even figuring out. I just started realizing something's changing. So I saved up about $10K, and I got the hell out of New York within like 8 months. I hated it. I was like, I hate this. Everybody I knew was in Brooklyn. I was the only one in Harlem. I did not like the rapport.
I would like to just tell you that I did a stint in New York because, coming from St. Louis, New York was the place to be. It was the place to be. And I really wanted to go there for college. And my parents said absolutely not, because I was a musical theater kid and they were afraid that I was not going to go to class and just like be on 42nd Street auditioning. They were like, you are not going to New York, right? So I went to school in California, but even in California, I was like, I want to live in New York. Like, I was like, my lifestyle is if Living Single and Sex and the City had a baby without the unhealthy men. But that's it. I want Big's credit card and I want Queen Latifah's swag. And I did a stint in New York, and just like you, I was like, oh, absolutely not. And I ran away very fast.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There, and shout out to Living Single doing the podcast episode where they're going over the episodes again, which is incredible. But Maxine Shaw and Kyle Barker, in my mind, are my mom and dad, right? Those are the people, when I think about like who I embodied as far as confidence, comedy, the bourgeoisie, Kyle Barker was just so suave and so funny to me. And then you have Maxine Shaw. I don't care what anyone says, this is the beat of my own drum. And so I really, really loved those two characters. And so the move to LA and getting into the entertainment industry was just it happened so quickly. Again, success to me was getting to LA, getting into the entertainment industry. I didn't want to be an actor. I wanted to work behind the scenes. I knew that the real power, thank you, Olivia Pope, was behind the camera. Nobody want to be the president. You want to be the chief of staff. You want to be, you know what I mean? You want to be the fixer. And so I was like, okay, how do I get into this industry? I don't necessarily have all the social media strategy, but how do I get into this? Because I didn't even know I was doing social strategy until someone who became my mentor, who worked at Disney, I was like, everything that you've done in your career has been strategic. And I was like, has it there? She's like, look at your career track. And I didn't even realize
But most people don't. Because I actually, and we don't know, I'm not in entertainment, I'm in tech. About 5 years ago, it took someone to sit me down and be like, everything you do is strategic. And I was like, oh, I'm just out here. I'm just making my bread. Like, I'm just doing what I do and, adding a little salt to it because I'm unique. And she was like, no, you're smart. And I'm like, let me write that down.
Because I think a lot of us, especially being Black creatives, Black professionals, there are some of us just aimlessly taking jobs wherever it comes. But I think there's some of us that are like, okay, not only does this pay more, the title's different, the responsibilities are different. And we start to build this tool belt, right? This utility knife that we as creatives, it just happens, right? And so when you look at our life from the big picture, okay, yeah, I took this job. It wasn't really a step back. It was actually a step up, because even if it was a coordinator job, because of that job, I was able to be a better project manager, so on and so forth, right? And so when I had that wake up call, I'm in LA, I'm working at a small advertising firm, and I'm also working at TAL Los Angeles. Now, you want to talk about success. The moment it became clear for me, I'm like, okay, I'm in LA. I have an apartment in North Hollywood. I am working at a small advertising firm. Who cares? But at nighttime, I'm surrounded by some of the biggest stars in Hollywood 7 days a week. Kevin Hart, Mary J. Blige, Tisha Campbell Martin, Iniko, Karuchi. Like 2017, 2018 was a very I was outside working, networking. The success for me was about that Black book, right? Kevin's back. Let me try to serve him. Drake's here. Odell's here. Trying to get them used to seeing this face, because when that opportunity strikes, I want to be ready for it, right? And so success for me in that point was getting into the bubble that is Black Hollywood. That was success. If I get in this bubble, I should be straight because I want to be the next Bozoma St. John. Like, I'm trying to be this marketing aficionado that knows everything about what's going on in Hollywood and is the person that people can trust and say, hey, how should I approach this? Right? Like, I want to be Olivia Pope in this industry to know how to handle a situation, like how, like that's why when we, even off camera, you and I were talking about, I love looking at things from a, not only business, pop culture to me is not, oh my God, and that, no, it's why did that person wear that suit? Why did they run into their ex at this party? Why did this person date or marry this person for 2 years? Why did Quinta marry that guy? All these things play very big success, right? Success. And so success for me in those first 2 years was getting into the bubble. When I got into the bubble and I finally became Josh, that guy, right? Working for a very well-known magazine brand and building it from the ground up on socials, like my life changed. Everything about my life changed.
How did your life change?
My life changed because I had a list of 50 things that I wanted to accomplish in the year. Right? These were 50 wish lists, manifestation lists that I printed out. 4 of them, one was in the bathroom, one was in my living room, one was in the bedroom, and one was in the kitchen.
So it was everywhere. So even if you forgot, the walls did not.
The walls did not, right? And mind you, this is my first apartment in North Hollywood, $2,100. I had no furniture. I had an air mattress, pots, and that's it. Okay? I didn't, and my list, and a beautiful, beautiful apartment with 20 feet tall ceilings, like, but it was empty. So let me be very clear. But this list was very iconic because it was work with Issa Rae, work with Mary J. Blige, work with Jordan Peele, like specific people that I wanted to work with, talk with, interview. Didn't know how this was going to happen, but I had this list, right? Attend Met Gala, attend the Oscars, SAG Awards, like these very specific things, right? And I'm working at this advertising firm that's paying me pennies. I'm working 7 days a week at Tao, but nothing's happening. So the success thing, okay, you got all these celebrities that know you and request you, but nothing's happening. So success, I'm not successful right now. I'm actually the bottom of the totem pole, okay? And that isn't, nobody's pointing me out and saying I'm a loser. I feel like a loser. I feel like a loser, okay? As a Black man, I'm not doing enough because I should be in this industry. I'm applying. Why is nothing working? So then I fasted for 20 days. Okay. I fasted for 20 days. I'm a big person in believing like you sacrifice food and your consumption of social media. I deactivated my Instagram and I focused entirely on the methodologies of Joe Dispenza. What would it feel like if you were living in some of these things on your list, right? And lo and behold, I roll the dice. I end up getting invited to this black tie affair. And I brought my resume. I'm wearing this very cheap suit from Goodwill. I had my resumes in my pocket, business card. And I somehow was told to check in all the celebrities at this black tie event. And because I worked at Tao for so many months, every Black celebrity that came in there knew who I was because it's a small town.
So it was all love. It was all love.
So moving there with, remember, the first idea of success was getting this black book situated. Even though I felt like I was on the bottom of the totem pole, being in that situation, that first initial idea of success actually played perfectly at this party because I had to check in all these celebrities. Josh, what are you doing? How's, babe, what's going on? Hey, bro, what's good? Like, and everybody's just like, what are you doing? I'm like, listen, talk me up in there, okay? Because I'm trying to get this job. And so these celebs are coming in. I mean, and I would say if I did a percentage, I probably knew 60% that came in because this was a very intimate event. So they're like, what are you doing here? You look amazing. I'm like, I'm wearing cheap clothes. You look good though. Like, you know. And so next thing you know, the leadership of this company was like, hey, people are talking about you inside. And I'm like, well, let's sit down and and I pitched myself to 3 of the leadership. And within 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I formulated a job title for myself, pitched them, told them an amount. The amount of money that I wanted was actually on that list as well. And within 3 weeks, my life, like magic, it just shifted. And let me tell you something, there's nothing better. I've worked in hospitality. I've worked in the hospitality business, food, restaurant, hotels, 9 years, okay? I've made a promise to myself, this is gonna be the last restaurant job I have in my entire life. When I went to that job, And I did the whole, it's not you, it's me. And I quit. I felt like I lost 7 pounds just by doing that. I made it dramatic. I made a whole scene. I wasn't disrespectful, but I made my boss like, hey, I'm not going to work this night. Why? Because I quit. Because Joshua David is going to be somebody. And I just was like, it was this amazing thing. And then I got on a plane and had to fly to New York for a big press tour. So I say all that to say success for me was attained in that moment because all of social media, fasting for 20 days, crying under the super blue moon. I remember the moon was right on my balcony. I was like, God, please. I ain't never gonna drink or smoke ever again. You know, I wanted the change so bad. I wanted this more than I wanted anything else. And my life changed for the better because I realized in that moment, for the next 2 years, everything that happened on that list happened one by one, Lexi, like magic. Like there would be nights I would go to the Met Gala or this, and I would come home and just cry my eyes out because I could not believe that all of this was connected. All this was connected. But then the success started to change when I started to realize I came back on social media and now I'm this new person, right? To everybody else, I'm this new person. Oh my God, I always knew you were going to make it. Oh my God. And it's your bullies from college, like on your comments, like, oh my God, you look amazing. I'm just like, I don't feel good. I have everything I want right now, but I don't feel good. I don't feel good. Something feels off. This doesn't feel like what I thought it was going to feel.
You said you don't feel good. Because I'm not going to lie. When I started doing a few things and I knew that the bullies from high school knew, for the record, that's the only reason why I keep my Facebook. Because I want you to know. I do. I want you to know. And if you didn't want to know, you would have blocked me, but you haven't. So I know you want to know. And that sounds horrible, but let's keep it a buck. I want to be the topic of conversation at the high school reunion that I will never go to.
Absolutely. That you'll not attend because you don't need to go.
I don't need to go. I want to be the topic of conversation. I want you to bless my spirit out because you're jealous. Okay? So it's interesting that you started to feel weird when those similar people were basically realizing that you were somebody, which is, you were always someone, but people are going to be people. It didn't give you a sense of any type of positivity to be like, got you.
Of course, Lexi, we've been bullied for years. Are you kidding me? But I think at the same time, while this is all happening, there's also this realization of like, oh, all this crap did happen back in the day. And now all of a sudden you have people in your DMs like, we should hang out, we should whatever. And that's when I started realizing this idea of Hollywood started changing to me because it wasn't, oh my God, Josh, it's so nice to meet you. Oh wait, you're the social media director guy at this big brand. And I'm like, yeah, I'm also Josh. And all of this happened when I came back on social media. It almost like flipped. It turned this very wholesome, beautiful, like secret little amazing life of mine into this very public thing. And I was like, oh no. Not that I was ashamed that I brought it online, but this is what happens when you become you're an identity, you're an idea. You're not a person anymore. You're an idea, right? And so I lose all this weight. I have a 6-pack. My face is like, I'm at the NBA All-Star. I'm it. And that's when, while all this is happening, my company is dealing with these lawsuits from other Black creatives. Huge lawsuit that's happening. Mind you, imagine running a social media accounts all over and you're like, those ain't real. That's not a real Black person running that account. This is a white man. And I'm like, I'm definitely Black. So it was interesting realizing this is the part about Hollywood that nobody talks about, the toxicity, the dangers of it. And so again, yes, I look successful, I look happy, but all this stuff happening in the background that we're not really discussing at work, we're not trying to come up with a solution, all these beautiful Black people that have given their time and energy and creativity and not being paid, it started to feel kind of dirty. This started to not feel like success. And it's like, okay, what's the cost of being successful, right? And I'll never forget Christina Milian and Nick Cannon in that movie, Love Don't Cost a Thing, work to get in, work to stay in. when, he was like, yo, Paris, I just want to be popular. And she was like, bro, you don't know what being popular is. You got to work to get in, work to stay in, get a clue, right? And I think so many of us think that all the glitz and glamour is so beautiful and easy. And it's like, there's a game to be played with that.
Is it sustainable? Like I always tell people, so I am a connoisseur, a student of the business of Beyonce, which is different than being a fan of her talent. I think Beyonce, the business of Beyonce is a masterclass. And I would argue that some parts of the strategic decisions that she and her team have made have possibly been to protect her peace from a lot of that. Because notice how she comes in and does her thing. Beyonce goes home.
I don't do interviews. I don't sit with y'all no more.
I think one of the last interviews she did, it was literally a written interview. And part of me, in my spirit, I was like, how much y'all want to bet her team went to the journalist and said, can you send us the list of questions? And she was like in her house, in pajamas, writing her answers. And also, privilege. There's something to be said that she can have that type of in and out because of the stardom and the brand that she's built. But bringing it back to you, this whole idea of like, me as a human versus me as a product or a commodity. And I think that's very hard to navigate when you work so hard to get in, but now you have to work to stay in.
To stay in, and at what cost, right? We don't, Beyonce 𝐵𝐻𝑒 is a global phenomenon, but how many miscarriages has this woman gone through, right? Like what kind of personal issues came into this as far as her marriage and all those things that we don't necessarily know about, but we see the tabloids and all these things. It clearly wasn't easy for her to have a child in all of this, right? Like there was a lot of miscarriages. And so we have to understand that as a Black woman, even though she is the most uber successful version that we've seen, she had multiple womb deaths, like there was the sacrifices and the trauma that, listen, yeah, you're going to get that album, but my body is dying right now. I have children that can't be grown in this. And so it's not a hit at her as a woman at all. It's not her fault. It's look at the environment that she was in. You know what I mean? And so, looking at what I was going through, I was really starting to feel a type of way when there was these huge layoffs at the company that I was working at, and they wanted to keep me, but fire everybody that I've worked with for the last 2 years. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. And that's what people talk about. You have to sell your soul in Hollywood, where it's like, I'm not going to do the thing that, when you think about the plan, right? So Success, if I stay, I can eventually get to Netflix, get my C-suite position in Netflix. Then I'll do Blizzard. I had that plan, right? But then there's this other uncharted territory. I can't say yes to staying at this company after what they did to everybody else who have kids, who are living check to check. And that's when life got very real for me, where I was like, I'm not staying at this company with what you guys are going to do to these people. Okay, well, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, you going to run me my checks though, right? Nah. Okay, well, I'm going to have to sue y'all.
Bills have to get paid, family. Bills have to get paid. So you make this list of like, this is what I think success is. Or I would even argue, this is what's going to make me happy. You start achieving those things. And while happiness is coming, you're like, oh, but this other stuff that I didn't think about is not making me happy, not bringing me joy, not bringing me peace. And then now you're also in conflict, we could argue, with the company that helped make that list possible. So what was your next step? Were you still kind of in this space of success to me equals that list, and we're going to fight forward and continue on? And Josh, the thing that Black folk gonna do, we are resilient. To our demise, we are resilient. So what did you do? What was your next step?
So here's the crazy thing. The list was completed on that as I left that company. But the identity of who I was being attached to the social media director of this legacy brand, I did not know who I was when I lost it. Right. I moved to New York for a job with 𝐬𝐿SENSE, and then that fell through because it was during COVID, and then COVID happened, and then my mom got cancer. All these things started happening like a snowball effect. Right. And so the idea of success as a Black man, I'm not making the checks. I don't have the title. I'm not getting invited to the parties anymore, because the thing about Hollywood, if you ain't got the title, I don't know you anymore.
In our Christina Milian voice, what you do to stay in, you got to do work to, You got to keep it going. You got to keep it going.
I've lost the key, right? And so we think about scandal. How many times did Olivia or Cyrus lose their mind when they weren't in the White House because they felt like, I don't have the proximity to power anymore? And for me, that was a very real thing. Like, okay, I can't stay in LA anymore. I got to move to New York now, or I got to move to Florida. How am I going to be in this industry anymore? And so there was a degradation of this idea of what success was for me because I couldn't get back into the bubble. I couldn't get back in. I could not get back in. No matter how hard I tried, it was like I'm back at square one because I did the right thing. I didn't do the bad thing. I did the right thing. And for some reason, I'm being punished for it.
So then that means, I would argue, then we need to start doing the work to redefine what success really is. What were your first steps in that? Because that is hard.
Oh my God.
It is hard to be conditioned of a specific definition for years. I would argue for generations. Celebrityism has always been a thing, even before social media. Ask Charlie Chaplin, okay? Celebrityism has always been a thing. And we as a society have always glorified that thing. So in many ways, it sounds like you felt like things were probably crumbling, no bueno right now.
Yeah.
How do you then take that moment to say, yo, I have to redefine what worth is to me and what success is to me?
Yeah, I think as a Black man too, and this is not a hit at my sisters. I love y'all down. But we really aren't anything without these job titles. That's what is in our mind. Like, what if I don't have a job? If I don't have a job, I can't date. I can't be outside. I shouldn't. And we start becoming recluse and we get really depressed. Like we think about Lawrence and Issa, right? I mean, my Insecure. Lawrence was a mess in season 1. That's why she cheated on him. I don't know how to function if I don't have a job that defines who I am in this world. And so the truth is, a lot of us get so close to the sun because we're making the 6 figures or we're making the money and we have all the access. And then what happened to Icarus? Icarus got very close to the sun and fell back down to earth and died, right? And so in a weird way, I think it was a necessary evil that needed to happen to me because I did the thing that I didn't sell my soul, right? I didn't sell my soul. And I say that because I think a lot of people think, oh my God, you go to Hollywood and you signed your soul to the devil. And it's like, that's not what it is. It's you start to make decisions that you don't align with as a person, as a being. And little by little, you say yes, you say no to this. And then you say, okay, never mind. You say no to this. And you're like, okay, it's fine. Until the point you go into the mirror, you got a haircut, your eyes are blonde, you got cheekbones, fillers, and you don't know who you are anymore.
It's these little decisions. And I'm really glad that you pointed that out. It's not this large decision of like, and now I'm going to sell my blood to the devil. It's these little decisions. And over time, 2 years later, you're like, who is this?
And I think, again, especially being a Black man that didn't go down the athletic route or the sports media route, I wanted to do content and production and social strategy, which was a very dominant Black women's space, right? And I'm trying to do this the right way and not seeing that as a competition, but you're not pretty, you're not a Black girl, so why are you in this space in the first place? Especially when we started to figure out social media was becoming such a more infused thing, right? And so I was just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? And so the truth was I had to sit in the sadness. I had to sit in the idea of who I thought I was supposed to be with this role and where that was going to go. And this is where we talk about the idea of success is where I think success starts when that metaphysical death happens. Because success is, I'm still whole. I'm whole. That's success to me. Like I am still here. I'm able to wake up the next day. It sounds cheesy, but it's like success to me is the fact that I am still whole. I didn't say or do anything that was going to have me not be able to go to sleep at night. I didn't scale my business and make a bad decision that led to people's hair falling out or all these other things that happen to a lot of other Black people that make these very tough decisions to scale or expand. And it leads to the detriment of our people, your actual community that got you to the top in the first place, right? And it's hard. It's hard because there's depression. There is a high functioning depression. Like you don't know what's up, what's down, what's left, and what's right, because I thought if I did everything right, bad things wouldn't happen to me. And ironically enough, baby, that's not the case. Especially in Hollywood, especially in New York, especially in this business.
Let's talk about scaling. Why is it that so many people assume that scaling equals success.
I'm going to say the awkward thing in the room, but the idea of America being the land of the, what is it? I'm living the dream, or the American dream. It ain't been that in a very, very long time. For a very long time.
I would challenge you and say, I don't think it's ever been that. I think it's a PR campaign for the 1% to make you work harder with this guise of the more that I work for them, the more that I could become them. And then on your deathbed, you're like, wait, I could never become them because the system is rigged.
Sure. So I think a reframe is the facade starts to fade away. The facade has been fading away since probably 2015, 16, 14 for a lot of us, right? Having this awakening and realizing all the flowers actually don't smell that great. And a lot of this is strange fruit. And you know what I mean by that? By the idea of what strange fruit is. There are Black bodies, there are indigenous people, there are all kinds of bodies that are laying across businesses and land where we're trying to functionally try to start over for ourselves on our own paths and be like, why does this not feel right? Why is it not working out? Because it's not right. And so when you go back to this idea of why does scaling, we have been basing our idea of success through an archetype and a functional skeleton of a white patriarchal system. So in other words, I'm going to say my business has to look like a success of a white man. And it's a very scary thing to say out loud because that's racist. And it's like, Bob, I know how easy it is to say that I'm racist, but that's not the case. Because what needs to be understood is that white male success is, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but we look at history, it's raping, it's pillaging, it's killing our shamans, our guides, our matriarchs, taking our women, forcing them to have your children, killing our men or putting them outside and making them build. That was the archetype of success in America when it first started. And prior to that, killing all the indigenous people, wiping them out first, and then going and collecting all these Black people, right? And so we look at business, right? I want to be in a tall skyscraper and never be outside, okay? Wink, wink at sinners, right? I want to be a vampire. I want to have 50 people work under me. I want no one to go home, 8-hour shifts. They take 30-minute breaks, and I want to work so that we can scale. And then the work environments go from bad to worse, but you make more and more money. I want to have a leadership, and my leadership is going to be all these C-suite people who never talk to the people below them. And it's this insane structure of success where, it sounds good. Head honcho is on a yacht, but everyone else is autoimmune diseases, dying, can't afford their rent, can't afford their bills. And there's only 1 or 2 Black unicorns there, maybe 1 or 2 Asian model minorities there, maybe 3 or 4 Latin people there because they can intermingle in these spaces, but everyone's making pennies compared to the dollars that the leadership is making. And so when we have POC people who have a business idea and it's organic and it's beautiful, whether it's hair products or business classes or courses, we start that, it gets the buzz online, we get the Black women to say, oh my God, this is awesome. Once you get the Black women to start buying your stuff, truly, most of the time, it's a success. I mean,
it's direct because Black women tell the truth. So once a Black woman is like, oh, that's good.
You've won the game. And so, I'm not, brothers count too, but Black women are always going to be they're the fuse that lights it was a couple girls on social media. Then all of a sudden overnight, my business grew. And so what happens is because this idea of success is built on the archetype of a white male oppressor. Okay, well, Lexi started this hair care line, girl doing great. She making $250K a year. Oh, dope. Okay, cool. Yeah, she's got a factory in Atlanta. She got a factory in Oakland. Sounds great. She should scale.
Well, first of all, who said Lexi wasn't already scaling? That's the first issue. Because if I have a factory in Oakland, I've scaled.
But Lexi's Etsy's popping off. Her website is constantly bringing traffic. Her socials are doing fantastic. Why does she got to go on Shark Tank? Why? Well, because Lexi wants to be like Barbara. And it's like, who said that? And so there's this pressure like, girl, you got to scale because I'm trying to see your stuff at Walmart. I'm trying to see your stuff at Ross. And it's like, whoa, not too much on Lexi, because in her mind, before people started feeding into her, this facade of the American dream. Like, I want my Lexi hair product in every store. But sis, why? There's an external validation that, you know what, Josh, to be honest with you, I don't really know, but everybody's telling me I should do it. So I'm going to chase this thing. So I always describe it as you tape yourself to a rocket ship. You tape yourself to a rocket ship and you light it, not knowing where that rocket ship is about to go. But you gonna sit on that rocket ship. It's passing Saturn, Mars, Pluto, and that rocket is going straight to the sun. And you have no idea. There's no stop. You can't say, I want off of this, because you've been told to scale, to expand, to get investors, to get all these people that you don't even know nor really trust. But you're on this rocket ship where it's like, and you know, every entrepreneur online is like, first of all, I don't know what I was doing, but I know that I wanted to get bigger and I wanted more people to know me. And it's like, guys, I'm all for that entrepreneur thing. You got to trust the unknown, but there's so much of this where it's like, none of us are seeing the red flags of some of these statements where it's like, just start the business. You don't know where it's going to go. I hear you. Just scale the business. Who cares what happens? Ooh, 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 whoa, 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 whoa. And so again, I don't want to name drop any brands, but we've seen what happens, whether it's food, hair products, services. Every time we scale, for some reason, we give it to our oppressors and they constantly degrade its origin. They degrade its essence. They degrade, it doesn't do the honey or the aloe, or it doesn't have that, well, you know, Lexi's brand always used to send me a little personal written card. Well, now they do, but it's written in computer and it's not her signature. Those little things are slowly but surely taken away. And yeah, your stuff is all in Walmart, but you know, my hair feels a lot drier ever since she sold it. Mind you, let's say you don't even tell nobody that you scaled. There has to be a press release because everybody has to know, because you need to get your interviews for the magazine so that you can then get more investors. So it's going to always be, but what if you didn't even tell people? The difference is going to be felt because Black people, it's always going to be spiritual. It's always going to be, some don't smell right. Is there raisins in this potato salad? And so you can lie, but we're always going to know because that discernment is in our DNA. It's literally historical. And so the idea of scaling, as amazing as it sounds, again, I had somebody on LinkedIn, this woman, I think she was from FAMU, and I was like, oh, she gonna go off on me because, you know, I'm Florida State. And I was like, paragraphs of comments. She's like, how dare you drag these Black women? And I was like, whoa, 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 hey, not dragging these Black women. I'm opening this very uncomfortable conversation because you know the rules. We as Black people can't air out when our own people do mistakes in front of mixed company. But by not doing that, we keep giving passes. Like, oh, it's okay. We love her down. No, we don't. Not right now. We don't like her right now. We don't like him right now. We have to have this accountability conversation. And so why is it that every time we scale, there's this forced notion of, I want to be the next Bill Gates. I want to be the next, you know, what's the Facebook guy, Mark Zuckerberg. And granted, I mean, there's no such thing as the Mark Zuckerberg of hair products and stuff, but we're all trying to live up to this God-like being that I want everyone to know my name. I want my socials to be egregious. And it's like, but at what expense?
Have you ever seen the documentary on Hulu, The Men That Built America?
No.
Highly recommend. Again, I watched it postpartum, so maybe I either watched it postpartum or while I was heavily pregnant. There's a lot of emotions that may have nothing to do with it. But I tell everyone who loves to talk about this to watch this documentary. And basically what it's talking about is how America, Vanderbilt, Rockefeller, like these very well-known families built the core wealth to this country. And as we know, enslavement built the money for America. What we don't talk about was the South was making the money. Enslaved West Africans were involuntarily making this money. That money was shipped to the North. And what this documentary says, what the North did with that money to build the financial platform for this country. And so we're talking about banking, we're talking about credit, we're talking about railroads, we're talking about coal, we're talking about bridges. And what I got from it wasn't just like, this is how Rockefeller made money. what I got from it was, and this is how the foundation of capitalism and work till you die for one person's vision and the whole PR campaign came from it. And it's for the record, a multi-episode doc, again, highly recommended. But when I finished it, I texted all of my Black women girl thread chats. And I was like, y'all need to watch this and get some lessons, because if you don't know how it started, you don't know how to decouple from it. And to me, that's what the documentary taught me, is I was like, oh, we're going to sit here and really talk what happened in those closed-minded rooms with like the Rockefellers and the Carnegies. Oh, we're going to really sit here and talk about how unions were created because you had poor white people working 18-hour shifts to get this stuff done, killing themselves, having 10, 11 children. So when the dad at 32 died, his 10-year-old son could take his place. See, y'all need to educate. And I remember when I watched this, again, either heavily pregnant or just had a baby. So regardless, very emotions were enraged, that I was like, no one has ever explained this to me in this way. And now what do I need to do to be like, oh, I don't have to do this?
I'm definitely going to watch it because, all I got is time right now as I continue trying to figure out the next phase of my life, because I'm trying not to feel like I should go back to corporate, right? Because success doesn't look like, okay, I'm making $175,000. I have a huge title and I spend 12-hour days on my computer, right? Like, I worked at a very big streaming company making bags of money every Friday. They paid you weekly because they knew how bad the working experience was. And so by getting paid every Friday, you end up like, okay, I'm gonna be straight. But you're crying Monday through Thursday.
But every time you get paid, you're like, well, I can do 7 more days.
Retail therapy. I got this. I bought pianos, crystal bowls. Like, I bought crap that I didn't even need because I had all the money to spend. But the exhaustion, the high functioning depression that comes in, because of what I experienced with that first job, the dream job, I started seeing the signs a lot quicker at different companies. And I started realizing it don't matter what company you at, there's going to always be some type of extraction that starts to eat away at you. And so, yeah, no matter how shiny the job is, you're not your whole self. So again, the idea of success for me is completely shifted and changed. And just because I'm the Black unicorn at this company, and we used to think that was a good thing, we're like, now we know if I'm the only Black person here, I'm about to go through hell.
With nobody to pick me up as I go through it. With no one to wipe my tears in the bathroom as I go through it.
At all. And whether you're a Black man or a Black woman or a Black person, we used to think that was a cool thing, and it's not a cool thing. It's a dangerous thing, because that leaves room for you to be the new modern day slave. That's the one thing we can say Kanye West was right about, aside from everything else that he's been saying, right? The modern day slavery thing is very much a suit and tie, but in a certain kind of way. How much of you is being erased in order for you to garner this level of success? Getting to the C-suite. How many of us know Black people that are in C-suites, but they're not Black anymore?
And I'm not going to lie to you, fam. I would argue now in my life, that is one of my biggest battles. And for the record, let's see, we're clear. I know that I'm Black. I love to be Black. I'm the person at the company that's like, oh, we got a Black person. Let me chat them, right? But I think a battle that I navigate constantly is making sure my community knows that I'm still there. And that can be hard.
It's very hard, especially when, let's not talk about entrepreneurship success, but maybe career ladder was your success. And what I mean by that is you wanted to get to that C-suite, because if I get to the C-suite, that means I'm making 250 plus. That means I got the house, the 4 acres, possibly the Black partner, but most of the time a non-Black partner, because for you to be in those spaces, you erase your relation to the community. Fight me. You can fight me, but a lot of people have to, because for me to stay in these spaces, I can't keep hearing my Black people's blues. I got to stay in this rhythm of, yeah, I'll go golfing with you, Rick. And you start going to the yacht parties, you start going to the events, and you start becoming the unicorn again. But you making the bag, so I'm good. But that money doesn't last forever because you're not whole. And you pretend.
Well, we can BS for the best of them. But at some point, you having to sit in your ish. And the one thing about the ancestors, they are petty and they will make you sit in it. And they will make you sit in it in times that are very unexpected.
Yes. Yes. And that's a death. That's cancer. That's a scare financially or health-wise, especially again with Black men who finally get to those positions. And you sit down with them on a LinkedIn intro call. You don't look all happy, smiley like your pictures. I'm good, bro. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, I don't even know you, but bro, I can feel you're not good. And so when we talk about, again, scaling isn't necessarily just expanding your business. Scaling is somebody who's a director and is like, I want to go to VP. So I'm scaling my career ladder, right? I'm the next, when we say scaling, what we really are saying is next level. What is next level for the business or my life? If you scale, if you become a VP, if you become a CEO at this company, or excuse me, not a CEO, a C-suite position, so CMO, COO, if you accept this position, what are you losing in the process? Well, my wife may hate me because I'm gonna be at work all the time. My kids may not know me. Okay. And you're cool with that. Yeah. I mean, we're making money. Your kids are rambunctious and crazy because mom is exhausted. They resent you. Okay. There's no family bonding. The dog don't even talk to you anymore because you're never home. You're always at work. You have high functioning depression. You don't go to the gym anymore. You're not taking ozempic because that's just crazy, right? So, jokingly enough, like there's like we talked about in the beginning, there's a chipping away. It's a chipping away. And so for me, success has changed where every time I would go abroad, because when I'm caught up in all this stuff, just like your brother going to visit you for a couple days, leaving LA, I would leave because all my jobs have been remote. I would go to Hawaii, Greece, Peru, and I'd be gone for 4 to 6 weeks.
Just like literally, I tell people whenever I travel, like, just give me a plate that is not processed. Like, feed me a salad and some coconut water.
And you'd be surprised. And people, we don't talk about this enough, but weight gain isn't because you don't care anymore. The weight gain is because you're emotionally eating. And there's nothing better than getting some Papa John's, 2 for $7.99 cheese sticks at 10:30 at night because you just got home. You just went to the gym. Like, even if you're going to the gym, you're still gaining weight because you're not regulated. Your nervous system is shot to hell. So when I go abroad and I would come back to America, welcome back to LA, Josh, and I'm like,
whenever I come back to America, you know how you get off the plane and you're on the tarmac, right? And you have that like half a step where you are actually outside as you step off the plane to tarmac and you can smell the air. And every time it's like, yeah, we back. And it's just the smell of the pressure and the stress and like the wants of everyone else. It's the choking versus when you get off the plane in these beautiful countries with societies and systems that just twerk a little bit differently, and that smell, and I'm like, ooh, it just smells like realness. It smells like people who don't know me but are going to love me.
And the other thing we don't talk about is the Black card is not the first piece of conversation all the time. And people don't realize, like, the reason why Black people will get off a plane, it could be placebo effect. They could be like, welcome to Jamaica, and you could literally be in Miami, and you're like, whoop, child, like, I feel, oh, and it's like, hey, we never left yet. And it's like, what? Our minds, when we get on that plane, our minds are already detaching from the identity of what it is that we have to put up with here in this country. And so for me, success was, how do I wake up and not hate myself every day? And what I mean by that is, because you know how you get out the bed, and when we used to do the 9 to 5 and you do the thing, you remember that Black painting of the Black woman, just the head down, and she just...
Oh yeah, that painting was my parents had a print of that in the hallway, and then when I started adulting, I came home for Christmas once, and I was like, oh, I get her now.
We all go through it, and again, this is whether or not you're an entrepreneur or not. This is not about the job itself. We're talking about success. We're talking about livelihood. We're talking about my existence. What does my existence look like? That's what's changing. Success is, what does my existence looks like, and does it relate to my idea of peace? Not happiness, because that comes and goes. Peace and inner joy. I know it sounds cheesy to y'all, but these are very simple things that are supposed to be simply existing in our lives, whether we make in a bag or not. And that's what we've lost out on, truly. And so when you ask me what that is for me now, that is what it is for me now. It's the simplicity. It's me cutting up mangoes and looking at an email and figuring out how I'm going to do this pitch deck to this potential client. It's me. It's a different, and the thing is, I used to hate the idea of being an entrepreneur because I was like, I kept trying to do social strategy or whatever. I've done social strategy for 10 years. Maybe you need to do something else. Maybe it's life coaching. Maybe it's writing a book. Like, figure it out. But it's like, if I stayed in America while going through this shift of my identity of who I am, because we evolve as people, I don't have the space to even have any coloring of like, well, what would it look like if I'm an author? I got crackheads screaming out of my loft. Okay. I'm in downtown LA.
I don't have it in me. I can't even think. I can't think quietly to even give you a response to that.
I can't think or paint something new for my life here. My nerve system is shot. My face was puffy. I was an extra, 15, 20 pounds. You know, I've been gone from the States for 2 months now. I look and feel like a different person because I've regulated my system. There was days when I first got here, I was sleeping 12-hour days, not because I was depressed. I was exhausted. So success for me now is there's joy, there's peace. When that happens, everything changes because you're no longer running, Lexi. Everything we've been taught is to run. Even if they say no, you keep going after it. You keep going after it. You keep going after it. That sounds like an oppressor beating the crap out of me while I'm collecting these cotton pieces outside. That doesn't sound like what I should be doing, because our ancestors taught us we sit our asses down and it comes to us because we collectively are allowing it to come to us because we're just being. No one knows how to be anymore. Everything is do. I wake up, it's 4:30 in the morning. I put my face in cold water and ice, and then I do my facial routine, which takes about 20 minutes. I put on a podcast while I'm making a fresh cup of joe, and it's like,
there's something beautiful about silence, fam.
We've forgotten what that's like.
So reintroduce yourself to us. Who are you?
Still figuring that out, Joan. I'm just kidding.
Me too.
It's something that's so interesting is like I've embraced the idea of not having it all together. And I say that in a sense of there was a fear of being Black, male, single, no kids. I get to be the cool uncle. I get to be the friend that always travels. I get to be the friend that does all the crazy jobs, but I also am the friend that is always alone. I'm always the friend that's always kind of on this discovery path. And I kind of hated that. Now I'm like, wait, you're actually winning, my guy. You're winning. Like, you're winning. And so I'm Joshua David Mardice. I'm this very young, very curious person that literally thrives in finding ways to relate our stories to what's being put out on the media. And I don't mean that in the sense of I watch reality TV. No, I want to watch film. I want to watch content that relates to something. And how do we bring that back into the fold of our people and create these dialogues? I'm someone that is understanding that there's this new word that I thought of, intellectual intimacy. And I'm trying to reinvent and refocus Black men in understanding that softness and understanding our emotions and understanding that, like, there is power in being a Black woman's ally. There is power in saying, hey, man, I don't like how you move. You're kind of an asshole. And saying that to a Black guy and there being no animosity, like, you don't hate Black men. You're not anti-Black men. There's a desperation in our community. And thank you, Joe Budden podcast. But you see what's going on with Lamont Hill being there and how much of, he's causing a stir. He's causing a stir because this dark skinned, very self-aware, very emotional, very clear, emotional, intelligent man who is constantly supporting Melissa Ford because she doesn't have any support there. That is a man who understands intellectual intimacy, right? And for me, my life now, Lexi, I don't know if it's building a retreat to get Black men to come to a space where the jealousy that men have for women and all the retreats and all the sisterhood stuff that y'all have, the Essence luncheons, and I could be speaking for me, but I know we look at y'all and it's just like, why we don't get that?
Because y'all not creating it though. And that's my issue with the jealousy is I'm like, Black women did this not necessarily out of want, but out of need. And also the essence of being a Black woman. We're always giving. So if y'all would just come to us and say, we want one too, we are more than happy to help create that playbook for you to have it.
I'm going to stop you there. I don't even want y'all to make us the playbook. Because the thing is, we have men that are event planners. We have men that are flower curators. And I'm not going to play with y'all. Y'all not going to do this gay straight thing. We are a community. It don't matter. We are a community. I don't care if it's they, him, her, him. We are a community. So if Black men want a Black Men Rock Award, and all we have is a couple gay brothers that are in event curation, that event gonna be fire. Because guess who's running Essence right now?
Gonna be great. So I think the real question, I know that we have to end, is why don't y'all do it? Because I think that a lot of things that Black women, we develop, we curate, we just do it.
I think with y'all, what's beautiful about y'all, and I think it's not beautiful, it's something that's been forced, is you guys have really understood tapping into the masculine and feminine. You guys, not only do you guys know how to plan, you guys also know how to put it into action. I think with men, we're really good at just going into action. We don't do the planning, the sitting down, the conversating. Do you want blue or gold? Do you like those things that you think the details, right? We got it, and those things need to be done. And it's like, even aside from that, are we all in a space where we can give awards to certain brothers and other ones are not going to get it and not be like, well, why the nigga got it? Like, whoa. All of these again, intellectual intimacy. How do I associate who I am, my emotions, with the surrounding environment, whether it's a man or a woman or a community? How is my emotions that I'm expressing? Can I have a full breakdown in the bathroom and then come back out and be like, hey, everybody, I had a full breakdown, but I'm back. Can you do that? Can you say that? Can you be okay in your skin and say, nah, that's some weak okay, you can't come to the award show because I can't raise you. We can't keep doing this. And this is the problem. Our sisters keep having to raise us and be our partners. And that leads y'all to be exhausted. And then it leads to these very detrimental relationships. So I'm in this space of my life right now where I don't know if I want to write a book. I don't know if I want to curate the next Black Him Awards. I don't know. Because I remember talking to Beverly Bond and I was like, Beverly, and she was like, well, Josh, when you're ready, let's have that combo. And I was like, this is when I just started in the industry. And I was like, girl, you ask for too much. But I'm in this space of my life where I'm having so many men, white and Black, come in my DMs and are like, I really love what you're talking about. I don't want to be too open on your comments, but I am seeking this. I'm a Black man. I'm only surrounded by Black women. I don't have any Black male friends. These are men in their 30s, late 20s that are openly saying, I have only Black women that hold me down. I don't have Black male friends.
Maybe that's the path, fam. Thank you for being here.